presence is always a part of my work. I've always been interested in the way that when you're using the tremor work plus the restructuring work, the body gets to really tell its truth. And when you're telling truth, people's ears prick up. They can hear it.
The way I'm feeling right now is sort of like a little bit excited. There's a like I know that my heart is beating a little faster than maybe is its normal rate. It feels celebratory to have you all with me here. So I'm honestly want to say thank you. Now I feel like I'm about to cry. So, what's necessary to really get started speaking and communing and connecting with audience and subject matter is the ability to feel comfortable in front of a group. That idea of connecting with text, specifically through Fitzmaurice, is really, really knowing why I'm sharing what I'm sharing and connecting to the need I have to share it so that I don't need to think about the performance. Part of what I feel the work, Fitzmaurice Voicework, is really effective at is an honest need to connect, an honest need to share as sort of the root of all of this. Honor, right, is the subject of my story. And I cannot say what you and other men think of this life, but for my single self, I had as lief not be, as live to be in awe of such a thing as I myself. I was born free as Caesar, so were you. We both have fed as well. We can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once upon a raw and gusty day, troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Darest thou now, Cassius, leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point?" Upon the word, accoutred as I was, I plunged in, and bade him follow, and so indeed he did. The torrent roared. We did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming it with hearts of controversy, but ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, "Help me, Cassius, or I sink." So I, like Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulder the old Anchises bear, so I did from the waves of Tiber the tired Caesar. And this man has now become a god. And Cassius, a wretched creature who must bend his body of Caesar carelessly but nod on him. My heart's racing a little bit because it gets exciting. And then I got to that moment and I was like, well, there's like 12 lines left. I could do it. It seems like another 40 seconds. I don't know. Like there's that moment. The important part of that is Cassius is laying out an argument that Brutus cannot help but draw a conclusion from. And he's giving him the conclusion to draw. It doth amaze me that a man of such a feeble temper could so get the start of this majestic world and bear the palm alone. And it's as if he says at the end of it, but that's just me. What do you think, Cassius? What do you think, Brutus? It's like he's setting him up to make the choice he wants him to make. And then when he makes it, he's going to be right there, right? Cassius, to kill. I hadn't thought, what? Really? I get, And then he's in. I know what I want to teach through that. And it's not about how to be a dramatic actor. It's about, I'm going to lay it on thick for you, Brutus, to get that message. I don't know whether or not that was a great performance judged specifically or solely on the merits of what it is to be an excellent actor, but I know that I am clear on the argument I'm making and why. Friends, Romans, countrymen, and mere ears, I'm not here to make trouble. I'm just here to remember Caesar because I loved him. God, I loved him. Brutus is this great guy, and he said that Caesar wasn't such a great guy, and Brutus is a great guy, so we'll believe that. But I know him as such a great guy. But Brutus says he wasn't, and if Brutus says he wasn't, I think we should accept that he wasn't. But man, I thought he was. It's the same argument, exactly the same technique, done on the other side. So it's used for good and evil.
I would guess if you did it again, it'd be different. Like you're still holding on to like, this is what I need to say, and this is why, but the expression of it would be different this time.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes along with the whole idea of acting, like allowing for it as opposed to doing it. If like you have it etched out how you're going to do it versus you allow it to happen and it comes out how it's going to come out.
The shoulders and the hips, and it sends a shimmy all the way through. This is not performance. This is not sound that has to have any sort of clarity to it. It might well be mixed with quite a bit of breath.
Part of working through Fitzmaurice and part of using this technique is allowing for moments, allowing for the human nature of what it is to connect with other people, what it is to connect with subject matter, and what it is to connect with audience. And to deny a feeling like that would be less than honest. And to me also, that just is part of what it is. So what I don't feel is embarrassment. What I do feel now is actually a great sense of relief. Again, is it's like, wow, I had something that needed to come up, it came up, and now I feel good again. And I didn't feel bad when it was happening, but I did have a moment of alarm, which is rather exciting actually, because what happens for me when that kind of thing goes on, whether it's as a performer, as an actor, or as a teacher, it almost frees everything from that point forward. It's like the thing that you're sort of aware of being possible happens, and then it's happened, so there it is. The very act of connecting with an individual or a group creates what Saul Kotzebue, who is the director of the Fitzmaurice Institute and Catherine Fitzmaurice's son, calls a charge. The charge associated with being in front of a group of people tends to affect and trigger the amygdala, which is a part of the brain that controls the fight or flight response. So this very basic and sort of, caveman-esque response to a fear factor puts us into a position of feeling extraordinarily defensive in order to protect ourselves so that we can survive what we perceive as being a dangerous situation. The set of muscular activities that kind of happens in that moment is a tightening of the torso, like a protection of the soft underbelly, and a gripping in the different areas of my body muscularly, physically, right? So that constricts the breath, which causes everything to rise. It changes the sound of my voice, and it stops my ability to sort of see clearly. Emotionally, I put up all these walls, what's called emotional armoring, that stops me from feeling anything too deeply or expressing anything too fully, because that's not safe either. So for an actor or for a teacher who's trying or wanting to connect with people on a visceral level, this is a real problem, because I'm at once physically bracing against an attack and emotionally bracing against any kind of damage that might occur, which stops me from sharing with the full range of voice I have at my disposal and feeling anything that's coming from you or sharing very much of myself. The thing about being authentic is that you want to be real, but the deal is the moment you add observers to a situation, everything changes. The observer kills our authenticity in a certain way, or has the potential to do that. And so it's recognized, again, by teachers and actors especially, that a mechanism to bring us back to what feels like authenticity, even in the state of charge, even in a state of being observed and wanting to change or to adapt to what we feel is necessary, is an important thing to have. Augusto Boal talks about this as being the cop in the head. And the cop in the head is a level of oppression It's internalized oppression. The oppression starts on the outside. At some point, everyone has been told, be quiet, be good, do as I say. Children are to be seen and not heard, these kinds of things. Or much, much worse, moments of feeling stifled or unheard, unworthy of, or less than. And those kinds of feelings can become internalized rather quickly, habitualized, and then at that point, you start to become your own internal oppressor. I shouldn't speak right now because I don't have anything good enough to say. Or if I say it, I could be ridiculed again and it might hurt me too much to deal with today.
I had something in my mind and then I sat on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's okay, you don't have to share that.
Yeah.
I was like, why do I do that?
Yeah.
And then through the rest of the discussion, it's like, oh, yeah, that's exactly why I do that.
Just the voices in our head that ask these questions. Am I doing it right? Could I have said that line better? Am I an imposter? The idea of do I really belong here? Am I allowed to be here? Have I done all the things I need to do to get in front of this esteemed group of people right now? Am I going too long? All these questions that are kind of bouncing around. And it's my sincere belief that we can't ever silence, and it probably wouldn't even be healthy to silence completely the voices that kind of contribute to who we are. But we also know that in the moment of presenting, it's not useful to allow them too much airtime. Hamlet refers to the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the law's delay, the insolence of office. The things in life that bum us out, that stuff out there causes us to put up walls inside ourselves and become less emotionally available to contribute, but also to feel. And what's more important as an actor or a teacher, really, to be responsive and clear about what's coming at you, and then be capable or willing to share what you have inside.
Angry. Regretful. Scared.
If it's useful, find focus on your hands. And go to text. Go right to text.
Honestly, it feels like it would be easier to just give in than keep overcoming the pain of every beat. Every beat that sends blood rushing out to find when it reaches my eyes, my hands in this fucking sand that I'm still alone.
We start to invite this new process, this three-part process that I talked about earlier. It is this idea of forgiving yourself for what was, inviting yourself into the moment that is, and becoming curious about what's coming up, what shall be, if you like. Fitzmaurice Voicework offers a mechanism, a reliable and repeatable mechanism to do exactly this. And it does it through the three parts that most of you are really well familiar with. What is destructuring? It creates a freedom. Freedom of breath, freedom of voice, freedom of emotional input and output. And then starts to add to that freedom the focus of restructuring, which is creating or allowing for full breath to enter the body through an intentional rib swing, the gathering of the supportive transversus abdominis muscle to add sort of a lift from underneath and to be able to create sustainable, healthy sound in whatever way is necessary. And then directing intentional focus and connection with a partner or an audience through what's called the focus line. I need a way that I can safely connect to both the technique, the subject, and my audience. And for me, the way I do that is through focus line. We live in an environment or a society, right, where most of the living and doing that we participate in takes place from the neck up. And it's that way because it's probably healthier or safer to stay that way. We all know what it feels like to learn something by heart. We know what it sounds like or feels like to speak from the heart. We know, unfortunately, probably a little bit about what it's like to be heartbroken. You know that there is sort of a sense of the kokoro or the solar plexus that is this real place of power. Ironically, it's about letting go. sort of rather than doing, allowing rather than doing. You don't do acting, you can allow for it. The final component of Fitzmaurice Voicework is play, and play just means experimenting with how the technique itself interacts with other modalities, right? So how do you use it practically in a safe space, in a setting that is not high risk, so that you can begin to practice what it feels like to go from what is probably for most people an unfamiliar state of openness and vulnerability to actually communicating and using that sense of openness practically to connect to subject matter and necessary activity or prescribed activity, like blocking or time or whatever else it may be.
And I experienced it when I went on my tangent about the neuromuscular therapy workshop. I was like, why am I talking about this? This isn't relevant. Just finish your thought, it's okay.
The functional, repeatable nature of it starts to create a feeling that this is possible. Fitzmaurice Voicework allows the breath to kind of make contact with all of those areas, and then also allows for ourselves to draw information and contribute from all of those areas. So Pema Chodron says to release control and allow the rawness of vulnerability to manifest discovery. There's a sense that we need to connect to material in order to share it in a way that feels like sharing as opposed to, foisting. What I hope you are connecting to is a sense that I love this, I love you, I want to share it with you, and that's sincere, I mean that. We open our hearts, we open our minds, we enter into this work, and we have this experience together where we're creating the possibility of new discovery. Are we willing to go there? And there are days, certainly, where it's more difficult than others. We all have lives, we all have reasons why it is more or less available to us on a given day to step into a studio and share fully of ourselves. To me, Fitzmaurice Voicework offers this mechanism, and it functions more practically than anything I've found to allow myself the space to let go of whatever I'm holding on to from the outside world and not get rid of it. When I come to a session, the idea is I need to let go of that, put it on a shelf at least for a moment so that I can be present with the work, present with the people that I'm working with, and present with myself in the space through all three sets, all three pieces of the work, destructuring, structuring, and play. All of it sort of adds to this sense that for now, for right now, I can let go of some of the other and allow myself to really be here.